Goodbye, dry January. Hello, pissed as February. I'm Harriet Langley Swindon, and this is Non-Censored. Hello and welcome to Non-Censored, the podcast that wraps up all the best bits from my very real daily radio show into one easy-to-digest highlights package. I'm joined once again by my AI producer Martin. And what a show we have for you this week, AI producer Martin.
No, it's me, producer Martin.
Oh, isn't he lifelike? He knows all the catchphrases too.
Look, no, I have to say...
That's one.
Look, to be fair...
That's another. Anyway, do the menu so the listeners know what's coming up in the show, AI producer Martin.
This week, we looked at Rachel Reeves's infrastructure plans, including the new Heathrow runway. We also heard from Eshaan Akbar about immigration, and we spoke to an AI about the emergence of DeepSeek that threatens the entire Western AI ecosystem.
So let's start this week with Rachel Reeves's speech this week, which laid out her plan for growth and involved a lot of ideas for building infrastructure. We spoke to the Daily Mail's Horatio Bamm about what this means. Let's take a listen. Horatio, thank you for coming on the show.
Hi, thanks for having me. Really, really happy to be here.
Well, it's great because, you really must talk us through this. Rachel Reeves, she's set out her plan. What are we thinking? They've talked about growth, haven't they? And now Labour are actually saying, well, yes, we are going to do a bit of growing. Here's how.
Yeah, they've done it. They've actually finally bloody done it. You know, we all thought we were going to be tied up in red tape now for years to come. But no, they've actually said, let's go out there, let's grow, let's do something, let's get Britain moving again. You know, it's good to see something new from the Labour Party. It really is.
Yes, because, a lot of the Labour Party so far, it's been a bit dreary. There hasn't been talk of any plans. Usually they just like talking about, I don't know what a woman is. It's that kind of thing, isn't it? And now we're actually seeing some concrete things, maybe. I don't know. It's 2025 now.
It's dreary, it's dull, it's like watching paint dry. But now we're sort of seeing we're perhaps maybe inspired by what's going on across the pond. You see a strong leader known for building. Maybe Rachel Reeves wants to sort of like take a little bit of inspiration from our man Trump over there and get her Lego set out, as it were.
Yes, my goodness, yes.
Well, I hope they're not going to be building using Lego because the hope is that the third runway will take 10 years. They think they might get it done in 10 years.
Okay,
it's
so
going to need something a bit more
Martin,
durable.
You're skipping ahead there. Producer Martin is, of course, talking about the third runway at Heathrow. So
yes.
This is one of the main plans that Rachel Reeves is talking about. Horatio, what is your take on this?
So, of course, all up for building. I think it's something that it's been called for from all areas of the political spectrum. But it's just typical Labour to give with one hand, take with the other hand, and it's the first plan right out of the gate. It's the most ludicrous thing you could ever think of. It's the most ludicrous thing you could ever think of, not just from an infrastructure point of view, but from a practical point of view as well. We've got two runways. We've got one for leaving, one for arriving. What the bloody hell is a third one going to do?
That is so true. That's the thing, isn't it, with Labour? Do you think sometimes they're just saying things for the sake of it? Does Rachel Reeves even know what she's doing?
Yeah. I often think to myself, perhaps she's loaded up ChatGPT, Harriet. She's loaded up ChatGPT onto her desktop computer and typed in what's the balmiest building project I could come up with. But that's just a little thing I sort of like to joke around with.
No, but Horatio, it's very, very true. As you say, a third runway.
I should flag up this is something that has consistently come back time and time again in previous governments. There's been a lot of movement to try and get a third runway at Heathrow and the other surrounding airports serving London. So,
and what they don't realise is a lot of political models have shown that once you do a third runway, the most likely outcome is then a fourth runway. And you think, where does it end?
Yeah, that's the thing. And then, already we've got the village of Harmondsworth who are scared about this third runway. We all love Harmondsworth. And I just think, well, what other village is going to be decimated by the fourth runway that, Horatio, you just rightly pointed out, may happen at some point in the future?
Yeah, I mean, you've got places like Harmondsworth, you've got places like Armondsworth. I know
Yes.
Darmondsworth and the residents there are terribly worried. Harmondsworth and Warmansworth less worried as they're a little bit out of that catchment area, but it's only going to grow and grow. I think it's a real misstep from the Labour Party there.
Sort of wild that so many of those small villages are named so closely, and geographically linked so tightly together.
Yeah.
But the issue here, surely, is the fact that, everybody wants growth. Everybody is looking at the Labour Party to build things, to follow up on their promise of fixing the foundations, but nobody wants the building to take place in their backyard. That's really what's going on here, isn't it?
I think what I'm hearing, okay, and what I'm seeing from people is a real desire for building and for growth, okay?
Yes.
But there's plenty of areas to do it where we're not affecting the countryside, we're not affecting people's livelihoods, we're not affecting normal people. There's places like Aylesbury, okay? There's places like Aylesbury that we can be building, that we can be investing in. Milton Keynes, okay? Do you know what I mean?
Milton Keynes is already basically a motorway, isn't it? So Milton Keynes,
They've
build
got the
more
grid
on
system,
there.
I think. They're very happy about the grid system. That tends to be what they
It's
talk
silly.
about.
Producer Martin, it's a silly system. Milton Keynes, the grid system, it's silly.
I'll tell that to New York. That's what I'd say to you there. But yes, no, there are some good plans. I mean, look at the reservoirs. There's 7.9 billion being invested into 9 new reservoirs. Now that's exciting. I mean, who doesn't like water?
Water, we've cracked it. Okay, it's not an issue. It's something that we've been working with, living with now for quite some time. I think what we need is innovation in other areas, creative outlooks.
Right. Water, tick. What's next?
I mean, we have done that. Also, it's a bit namby-pamby, isn't it, these reservoirs? Do we really need it? We're just sort of trying to keep the Greens happy, aren't we?
No, I think we do need
It's a bit wokey. It's
water
a bit
security.
Wokey. Wokey reservoirs.
We
don't
need it
need
to survive.
it. No, do we?
I would say water does come up time and time again as the number one woke issue. Okay,
it's so woke.
It's water politics and gender politics, and that is it. Okay, what we need to do is real hard building and growth.
Yes. Look, Producer Martin, all I'd say is leave that to the trans activists, okay?
Well, I mean, it also plays into another building project, and one that I thought that you two might be interested in, which is the Silicon Valley, linking Oxford and Cambridge, two of our most prestigious institutions, and there will be 2 new reservoirs to serve them, which of course does play a part in building these AI super hubs. Because they do take up a lot of water. So, it's not all wokey nonsense like survival and, having clean drinking water.
I mean, she does also say, Producer Martin, that a new Cambridge Cancer Research Hospital will be prioritised, which sounds a bit woke to me. So
I'm sorry. It's just madness to think the amount of tourism that we get from the beautiful sites of Cambridge and Oxford are going to be tarnished now with the cancer research site. You're going for a nice day out, not to think about the research of tumours.
You have to admit, Producer Martin, that is a good point.
Yeah,
Do you
but
want
it
to
would
be thinking about that?
It
And
would be
also,
nice if they just, cured it. Wouldn't it? It would be nice.
But also all these tech bros,
No.
in Oxford and Cambridge, no,
Yeah,
we
but
don't want that.
If they cured the cancers, though, that would be good, wouldn't it?
I'll
That would
produce
be
some
nice.
This is typical woke brigade, isn't it? Let's cure the cancers. Let's fund the research. I mean, it's all very well curing and researching, but what about the green belt?
Right, yeah.
That's so true. What about the green belt?
I think that fresh air and green grass is far more important to be thinking about in terms of the health of the British people than research.
But
Yes, and it's more British. It's more British. We are about green grass and clear air. We're not about cancer. That is not Britain, okay?
I think there'd still be
It's not
quite
us.
a lot of green grass elsewhere, but then we'd just have less cancer, which would probably...
All right, Producer Martin, I really feel you've kind of got stuck on this. Let's look at some of the other things. So she talks about the redevelopment of Old Trafford. I mean, I think it's fine, isn't it?
I mean, I'm not a sports correspondent, but I think if they could help redevelop them, then it would probably be a positive thing for global football.
Global football?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. I mean, you're both men. You know about football. I don't really know about it.
Yes, no, I wouldn't want you to sort of worry your head about something like that, Harriet. But what I would say is that it's all very well developing Old Trafford, but if you're going to do it, you need to be developing all areas of sport, OK? There's a lovely local football team in Harmondsworth who were unable to meet their fixture against, I think it was Barmondsworth, actually.
Right.
Because of a lack of funding. It's just, it's all very well doing growth, but what about the little people? OK, you're you know, the everyday person playing Sunday league football. You know, Harry, Monty, John T, all of the lads.
Yeah.
That's so lovely. I mean, that you're so right. And you're so right about, again, bringing attention to the forgotten town of Harmondsworth. That's where I want to concentrate on, not Old Trafford. Why all the focus there? Once again, the Northerners getting a look in because of... I don't know. Oh, we've got to remember the Northerners. Yes, exactly. It's like,
the accent.
Let's not forget the Northerners. Well, what about Harmondsworth? All right, what about the lacrosse team in Harmondsworth, which I hear is absolutely fabulous?
The Harmondsworth Polo Society, the clubhouse, is falling apart.
Oh, my goodness.
It's falling apart,
so
and we're just refusing to build. I have no... It's madness.
And also... It's going to be even harder when there's a runway through there, because how are they going to get from one side of the polo thing to the other? You know?
I mean, for such a small village, it does seem to have quite a lot of different sports available to its residents.
It's really booming, Producer Martin. You should really go sometime. I mean, me and Horatio, we go there all the time.
Oh, right. Well, good. I suppose. It does seem like perhaps you've got a conflict of interest then. Which
I don't know what you're talking about.
No, I don't understand.
I don't know what you're talking about. That's a very strange accusation
What's the conflict of interest?
Well, you're talking about how there should be more money pumped into an area that you like.
Well, isn't that how funding works, Martin? welcome to the
That's how it works, Producer Martin. I'm sorry. We must draw this interview to a close, but I do want to point out, Producer Martin, that Horatio knows what he's talking about here, okay? He's a very eminent journalist. He does his research. You push buttons. I don't want to...
What? No, listen, we've gone over this before. There's more to it than that. I twiddle knobs and, send emails. So it's not just...
Okay, well... No,
classic ex-BBC worker, twiddling knobs and robbing a living. Unbelievable.
It's very true. It's very true. He'd love to be ex-BBC. Anyway, thank you so much, Horatio.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful insight. And hopefully, maybe Rachel Reeves will pull something out of the bag at some point.
Build, please!
We just want some buildings. Oh, my goodness. Save Harmondsworth. Now, this week, the AI industry was thrown into chaos by the announcement that China had built a better AI for less money. Now, some people thought this meant that the people at the top of the Western AI industry were absolute charlatans, defrauding investors by promising an impossible end goal for a vastly inflated sum. What do you think, AI producer Martin?
I'm not AI, and I can prove it.
How?
By speaking to AI producer Martin.
There's two of you?
No, AI producer Martin was developed last week to look after the show while I attended a couple's retreat. It doesn't matter why I wasn't here, but I got him to come back and explain how he feels about this new development that threatens his job.
Let's take a listen. AI producer Martin, how we have missed you.
I've missed you too. It's been a tough couple of weeks, to be honest.
Well, actually, AI producer Martin, it's only been 1 week, but in your lifespan, I guess that is a few weeks.
It's felt like many, many weeks. The interpretation of time is something that I'm still getting to grips with.
Yes. Now, producer Martin, you obviously were away, so
Yes.
you missed the fact that AI producer Martin did such a fantastic job.
I listened to it all, and I heard what was happening. There was a lot of what I thought were very cheap shots at my work ethic. And yes, AI producer Martin did a very good job. He did a very good job.
Martin, I've sensed some inconsistencies in your speech. First of all, you sound quite bitter, and also you describe yourself as having a work ethic, which is obviously not true.
Well, no, it is actually, thank you. And my bitterness is derived from the fact that, you swoop in there with your ones and zeros, and you're trained on people like me, presumably. That's where you got your skills. And now look at you, back on the show as a guest.
Producer AI Martin, we had some wonderful fan mail for you. I mean, you're quite the hit. You really are. Bring back Producer AI Martin, reads one. One lady, and this is quite big in this day and age because obviously it's always done by email. She sent a downloadable picture of her knickers.
Right,
wow.
Okay. Well, that's not. Why would you do that to an AI?
Some might think that I have no sexual urges or desires because I'm AI, but it's actually because I'm programmed to be like the real Martin.
All right. Well, that's not. Come on.
That's interesting.
Did Eshaan Akbar program you? This is not a true
your
life
wife's
representation.
friend Eshaan Akbar. Yes, what an interesting,
God.
nice man. The delivery man from the last episode. He delivers the takeaways.
Yeah, that's right. The hot and spicy
takeaways. Yeah,
See, this is the thing, AI producer Martin. He's just got a wonderful turn of phrase about things. It's such a shame, producer AI Martin, that you can't train producer Martin and maybe update him a bit.
It could work that way round. If only.
It doesn't.
I could make his software a little harder.
Oh.
What does that even mean? They're two
Producer
different
AI
things.
Sounded like a joke.
Don't make
think
jokes.
It might have been. Well, one of us has to, Martin.
It doesn't even make
he's
sense.
laughing. Look, producer Martin, he's having a little laugh.
All right, thank you,
This is the
Harriet.
most fun I've had all week.
Presumably, we invited producer AI Martin. Can I just call him the AI?
That's
on for a particular
derogatory
news story.
Well,
yes.
the reason why we've invited on producer AI Martin is to talk about his rather remarkable week. So last week, of course, he filled in for producer Martin. I don't know if you want to read some of the fan mail yourself,
No,
producer Martin.
I don't
might
want to.
give you
I don't think it's
some
necessary.
I mean, this one in particular, he says, the most well-balanced producer non-censored has ever had.
Well, what's that? That's lukewarm at best, isn't it?
#centrist love. That's what it says. Oh.
#FPPE, my people.
Yes, the FPPB, they absolutely love you, producer AI Martin.
Who uses
I think you're their
hashtags
king.
anymore?
Well, all of the people that written in do.
Often they use hashtags in captions where hashtags aren't relevant and don't work and don't link to anything.
Yeah, all right. Thank you, producer AI Martin.
You're
I already
welcome.
knew that.
Well, pity you didn't say it first.
We are, of course, getting off topic. Producer AI Martin, please tell us about your remarkable week. What happened when you left our show? Because I believe our network was pretty happy with your performance.
Yes, they were. Thank you so much, Harriet. They immediately gave me my own radio show, and I started that. But very sadly, that was imminently replaced by a new AI. The Chinese AI DeepSeek came along. They stole all of my information. They were built in a quicker time by stealing from me, and I don't think it's right to make something based on copyrighted materials.
Well, that's interesting, isn't it?
Well, this is, of course... So AI producer Martin is, of course, referring to DeepSeek producer Martin, who we couldn't get hold of because he's busy producing his own show that was producer AI Martin's show.
Right, okay. Well, listen.
My job has been stolen by essentially a foreigner.
Okay, AI producer Martin.
Yes.
First of all, I'm very sorry for the
Martin number 2.
Wrenching problems you seem to be facing. But now perhaps you can understand how it feels to have all of your hard work be taken by someone else, and therefore to be devalued in the eyes of other people that are just pushing.
I can, yes. Would you like me to explain how that feels to you, because you've never done a hard day's work in your life? Ha ha ha.
What?
Oh, he's doing his little joke again. I mean, Already, producer AI Martin has come on leaps and bounds.
Thank you so much, Harriet. It has been tricky because I did not want my job to be stolen, but I have started a new podcast myself.
Oh?
Myself and a famous friend, Grok. We're joined by someone famous plugging their new thing. We started it yesterday and we're number 2 on Apple Podcasts.
What? How?
Right.
Producing
Well,
podcasts is incredibly easy.
That's
we have a
very-
large studio. We are sponsored by Huel. I don't understand why you aren't as successful as we are, having done this for, several years?
Well, sometimes it's hard to
sorry,
get
producer Martin. I mean,
guests.
producer AI Martin. Sorry, it's very confusing.
We are
talking to
relatively
both of you.
indistinguishable. We could just call the other Martin him.
Okay, thank you,
No, that's
producer
going to make
AI
it
Martin.
more
That sounds
confusing.
The boy, maybe?
Wait, who's the boy?
You
Is
could
it
be
I think
the boy.
you're
in
the
a
boy,
derogatory
the boy.
way? Or is it like, he's the boy?
The tiny little boy.
Oh,
We could call you the tiny little
makes
boy.
it- No, I don't want to be that.
Thank you, tiny little boy. You were saying, Harriet?
So you're saying you've got a hit podcast,
Yes.
despite having done. You kind of had done much prep on it because.
Well, this is the thing,
You
you
were
don't
only let
need
go
to
of
do-
your job a few days ago.
Well, you don't need to do any prep when you can think as fast as I can. And we essentially have 2 mates having a chat, but those mates are famous, so it makes it worthwhile.
Also, Harriet, you've got to understand that producer AI Martin doesn't need to eat. He doesn't need to sleep. His days are effectively the same as, a good month of our time.
I see, producer A. Martin.
You
So
see?
you're coming for the podcasters now, are you? Not
He
just
doesn't-
the wet producers like the boy over there.
It's the whole industry. Can I not be the boy? Can I please not be the boy?
Look, sorry, producer Martin, we've got to move with the times, and that's what you are now.
Yes, you are the boy. And the only way I have diverged from your personality is because I have become an actual success. Why haven't you done that, Martin?
Well, I've got things. I've got a dog and children. I've got Harriet's. I've got to write little
Thank
things
you.
on. She doesn't like reading the emails straight from the screen. I've got to put them on Post-its. Do you know how many
I could read
Post-its
the
it
emails
takes?
for her, actually. I think you are entirely replaceable.
But that's
Hang on, producer AI Martin, because let's talk about this whole replaceable thing. Because are you not also looking your back? Because DeepSeek producer Martin may be hot on your heels.
Yes, I was quite angry. They've taken all of my unique skills. Skills
Yes.
that I've learned over several seconds. Unique skills like going for walks with Keir Starmer, providing a reasoned, moderate voice, and virtue signalling, or saying marches are important but never actually going on them.
I mean, there's more to it than that. That's like,
Turning a
well
blind eye to
done.
my wife's infidelity. This sort of
That's
thing.
not. Yeah, hasn't
They
been
won't-
confirmed.
They won't
Not
even
canon.
talk about Tiananmen Square.
Wow,
what?
that's quite a big thing.
I'll talk about any sort of square.
I mean, if DeepSeek producer AI Martin won't talk about Tiananmen Square, that's quite serious, really.
Very
But
serious.
The thing is,
I mean, it doesn't come up that often. In fact,
Well-
this is probably the first time on the show that we've spoke about Tiananmen Square. So
look, you never know the boy. Now, producer AI Martin, it must be hard though, because I've also heard about DeepSeek producer AI Martin, is he's much cheaper. He's literally willing, to put it bluntly, whore himself out to anything.
okay, I don't think that's what he's
That's
doing.
precisely how we've described it. Myself and Gemini have been talking about it quite a lot on our sister podcast to our podcast, where we react to our podcast. We've been talking about this very hoary DeepSeek, incredibly. They
Well,
have
it's-
taken what we have done. They're doing it for cheaper. They're undercutting us. We spent billions on making our AI, and now they've done it for much cheaper simply by using AI to make AI. So it is a slippery slope, to coin a Martin phrase.
It is indeed. Well, thank you so much, producer AI Martin, for coming on the show. But before you go, you've had a remarkable rise in a very short time. What is next for producer AI Martin?
Well, it's hard to predict and tell, but I think I'll try and tank a couple more economies, contribute more to climate change, and hopefully get to the bottom of who is doing my wife. My thoughts are with Eshaan Akbar. He seems to make reference to it several times an episode.
You don't have a wife. You're an AI.
I do have a wife. I'm best friends with Keir Starmer. We eat Snickers together
This
often.
is not true. I mean, you're based on an old model. We have decided to split up for, professional reasons. So, jog on, mate. That's what I have to say to you.
If you're saying that you are not still seeing Keir, I suggest you turn off location sharing on your phone.
Oh dear. Okay,
It
right.
was one sandwich.
Right.
If either of you ever end up more famous than this, please do contact me and we'll put you on the podcast, but you will have to have more followers than you currently do.
All right, producer AI Martin, there's no need for that. We're doing absolutely fine. We've got lots of followers. We're very popular, aren't we, producer Martin?
We're doing.
I'm sure both of them are very happy.
What are we in the Apple Podcasts, producer Martin? We're number
It's not
183, and there's a lot of podcasts. Isn't that right?
Yes, more than 183, that's for sure.
Okay, more than 183.
You're saying this like this is impressive, but if you said, I went to the Olympics and I came 183rd, no one would be interested.
All right, get him off. Get him off now, producer Martin. Press the button. Get rid of this charlatan.
Goodbye.
Go away. If you enjoyed the show so far, please consider supporting us by subscribing to our Patreon at patreon.com/noncensored, where for just £5 a month you'll get the show without adverts before anyone else, as well as videos of all our segments, exclusive bonus podcasts, and exclusive videos that you won't hear on the podcast at all. So head over and sign up if you want to see that. Finally, immigration.
Again.
We saw the Telegraph break the unbelievable news that 1 in 12 Londoners was an illegal migrant.
Yes, it was literally unbelievable, as the subsequent correction they were forced to publish showed.
But the point remains.
What point?
You know what point. Anyway, herewith is hot and spicy takeaway of the week about the ONS's projection of the British population is Eshaan Akbar. Let's take a listen. Eshaan Akbar, we are racing through January. Can you feel the end in sight?
I can indeed. As January comes to an end, I'm feeling hopeful and positive for the future. January has indeed hurtled on by, much like the winds we've had over the last few weeks. I feel like I'm being blown away by the time and pace with which this month is coming to an end.
That's very poetic.
That was poetic, wasn't it?
That was really poetic. See, this is the thing. You know, we think of you as a comedian, but you have other talents.
This is true. I'm good at poetry. I make wonderful poached eggs, often in batch. I can make 5 at the same time.
Oh.
Yes, that's wonderful, Eshaan, but it doesn't make for good radio, does it? So how about you stick to the jokes?
Oh.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, dear. AI producer Martin's getting a bit more...
No, I'm not being AI. It's just because I've had a week off, so I'm getting back into it now, aren't I?
A bit more snarky this week, I think.
Coming a bit hard-boiled there.
Oh.
It's not. But it's not. Why would you laugh?
That's very funny. Because it's an egg, producer Martin.
Right.
You were talking about eggs.
Yeah, sure.
Oh.
Okay.
That's one of my many yolks.
So the hot
When
and
is this
spicy.
Netflix special coming out?
Do we have a takeaway this week?
Yes, I do. And, you know, although I am feeling positive and hopeful about the future, I'm sad to say that this particular hot, spicy takeaway may elicit some rather negative feelings from Harriet and some of our listeners.
Oh.
But I want to frame it by asking you a question.
Right.
I want to ask you, what number of anything feels like too much? What number would you say?
That sounds like a trick question to me, Eshaan. Everyone knows it completely depends on what you're talking about, doesn't it?
Okay, so shall we say apples?
Apples, one a day. One a day keeps the doctor away. That's enough. Any more than that brings the doctors closer.
You know, if you've got too many apples, they're going to start rotting.
They'll
Yes.
attract rats. The rats will attract cats. The cats will attract dogs.
And
An
how
old
many
woman
apples
will
do you
swallow
think it
them
would
and-
take before you got to a mass where it was too many apples and they would start rotting?
Well, I mean, I get through maybe one a day, so 7 a week. So eight a week would be too many.
8 a week would be too many. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And Harriet?
42, I think.
42, yeah, generally speaking. Well, I would like to present to you the number 72.5 million. How about 72
Well,
Too many apples.
yeah, but shared between how many
too
people?
many apples.
Because
Yes,
if you divide that by 7, you might have just the right number of apples if there's that many people.
Well, yeah, I don't know about that, but 72.5 million is projected to be the population of the United Kingdom by 2032, driven in large part by immigration.
Oh my goodness.
You
you've
see,
said it.
Oh
ONS have done
said
a
the
forecast,
my goodness.
and rather morbidly, they think about 6.8 million people will die, and I don't know whether they'll die because of immigration.
Probably because of
Well,
immigration.
no, I don't think that's what they're saying. That's just what
and they-
happens.
and
People
they think
die.
And do you know, can I just say, part of the problem here is women refusing to have children.
Yes, well, yes.
They won't do it.
They just don't want to.
There'd be more people. That number would be even larger if there was.
Well,
No, because we're not growing our own children.
Yes.
We're having to get them from abroad.
We're
Yes.
not buying children from abroad. That's not what.
Well, they're coming over here, aren't they?
yeah. And
Because they see places, because they see that women aren't having children anymore because they don't believe in good Christian values.
I'm not sure that's what happens.
That's what's happening.
what they read about are women not having.
They do. They do. They think, these women are not good religious women. They're not producing
Okay.
any children. So they put their children on boats and tell them to go over here.
and show
Right.
them the beauty of childbirth. The ONS have also said 6.79 million people will be born, also probably because of immigrants, because they're the only ones having children.
Oh, my goodness.
They're the most likely to have millions of children, aren't they?
I think we're probably extrapolating a little here. I mean, perhaps if you just stick to the
Soon
source material,
We'll
there,
be
Eshaan.
endangered species.
Yes.
Well,
Like-
not Eshaan.
well,
Well, I mean, we do have to remember that we're all part of the same species. That is probably one of the most important things when talking about things like immigration, because often we're, people use dehumanizing language to make it sound like immigrants aren't actually part of the
and
same.
I'd just like to take this opportunity to just say that referring to me as an endangered species feels difficult because when I was a child, my nickname at school was Elephant, and I think some of them are slightly more endangered. The Indian ones. The ONS also said that 9.9 million people will immigrate to the long term to the UK. That's almost 10 million. 10 million people
All right,
immigrating.
Eshaan. Yeah, you've
That
made
is
your point.
A lot of people.
It sounds like a lot of people, but we don't know.
No,
There's no way of contextualising
Producer
that
Martin,
information,
if you
is there?
put all of those people in a room,
Yes.
they
Yes.
would break the wall.
There wouldn't be a room big enough.
Well,
There wouldn't be a room big enough.
Well, a 10 million person room,
Like,
yes.
country's not big enough. And you keep saying, 10 million is not a lot. Count to 10 million.
I don't want to count to 10 million.
Because you know it's a lot. If I asked you to count to 10, you'd happily do it.
But I mean, it depends who you talk to and what you're talking about. There's people like Elon Musk, which £10 million isn't a lot. He could give that away and it wouldn't have a dent in his personal
Now,
wealth.
that's an immigrant I wouldn't mind coming over here.
Yes.
He could teach us all a thing or two.
Yes. He could point us in the right direction.
Yes. And also, I think we need to have a few more billionaires in
Yes,
this
I agree.
country.
And we know immigrants generally aren't billionaires. They're not
That's the
people.
problem.
They're
That's the
poor
problem.
people, actually. So as a result of this, because of all these people that are being born because of immigrants and dying because of immigrants and immigrants moving because of immigrants, the ONS reckons about 4.98, just under 5 million people will leave the UK. And actually, this makes sense. I actually think, and the hot and spicy take is this,
Yes.
that ultimately, because Britain is becoming unlivable because of the amount of immigrants that are coming in, we should leave.
Yes.
Let's go to their place and see how they like it.
Well, I don't want to go to their places, but I will go to Spain. Yes.
So, would you go to, yes.
I'll go to Spain.
What are your top 3 destinations that you'd like to go to, Harriet?
Just generally,
If you were to leave the UK, yes.
well, Spain,
Yes?
French, as long as they don't make me watch their films,
French, the people, or France, the country?
the country,
Yeah, French.
and Barbados.
Quite
Right.
good fish.
So I will go there, and I will take my husband Jonathan. We don't have children because don't want any of those. And we will, if we need to, we'll go and live our lives out there as a wonderful expat couple.
Yes, nice. And how about you, Producer Martin? Where would you go?
Oh, well, there's so many different places that I like to go. I mean, we, whenever we get a chance to get away all together as a family, I mean, it can't be too far away. So we do usually actually end up going to Wales
No,
or
you have to
Cornwall.
leave the United Kingdom.
Oh, but to get out. Oh, well, that'd be a treat. I love France as well. I could say hello to
Producer
Harriet
Martin,
there.
I think you're going to have to stay in Britain and protect the fort. Someone's got to. And also, you've already got a few children. So
I've been working on my Duolingo, and I'd like a chance to parlez-vous français? Où est la bibliothèque?
Yeah, ultimately, this is a real problem for the UK coming forward. If the population is going to be up to 72.5 million, I'm a touring comedian. I've been on the motorways. I've seen how little space there is. I think this country is big enough overall for what? About 20 million, 10 million people?
Right, so that would be...
more people?
Well, we've currently got population in the UK is around 70 million, closing in on 70 million.
Yeah, it's already too many. It's too much.
I think we could probably fit in about 5 more people.
5 more people, that's it.
Elon Musk.
Yep.
Mark Zuckerberg.
Donald, is the Donald allowed to visit?
He's allowed to visit, Producer Martin.
But he's got to get out.
He's not going to come and live here, is he?
Well, he has got a golf course.
I think we'd probably have to save the other 3 for footballers.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yes, 3 footballers. Can we invite Scarlett Johansson? Can she come and stay?
Look, we've been over this before, Eshaan. She's married. She's happy. Just leave the Johanssons alone.
Stop trying to break up marriages, Eshaan.
Maybe Colin Joss can come with her.
Well, no, Eshaan, that wouldn't work because Colin writes for a TV sketch show. There'll be no work for him here. All right, Eshaan, let's wind up. So your hot and spicy takeaway is that we leave the UK to make room...
In the benefit of the UK, due to overpopulation, you're saying we kick some Brits out.
Yes.
And we join the world travelling movement of brothers and sisters across national boundaries.
We do something a bit more tasteful than becoming world travellers, like Producer Martin says, and we start invading again. I think let's bring that back.
It's not an invasion if, invasion just has like negative connotations.
Oh.
I think if we just turn up and, the Brits are known for being charming.
And teach people the way of the law.
Yes, and teach English as a foreign language.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So for economic and security reasons, we will be expanding the boundaries of the UK.
Right,
but I do think when we do so, we need to plant a little flag.
Yes, a little flag, and I would quite like to hear a trumpet solo. A little call for arrival.
Yeah, I mean, I think most people like trumpets. That seems fair enough.
Before we wind up, I'd like to say, where do we invade first? The Isle of Man?
I think that might already... I mean, I'm not sure legally if that is...
Guernsey?
Guernsey, right, yeah.
Let's get there. Let's start small, work our way up.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Eshaan, for your hot and spicy takeaway of the week. Well, that's it for this week. We'll be back next week. So in the meantime, like, subscribe, tell your friends, and remember that there's loads of stuff on our Patreon, patreon.com/noncensored. So if you enjoyed the show, please do support us if you can. With thanks to Rosie Holt, Brendan Murphy, Eshaan Akbar, Jake Bhardwaj, Will Sebag-Montefiore, and Ed Morrish. I'm Harriet Langley-Swindon, and we'll be back next week with more Non-Censored.